With just 118 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Malero has a best lap time of 1:08.391.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Malero has a best lap time of 1:08.147. Oyad 2389 just posted a 1:06.466 crossing start finish. Narwhal is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Long Beach as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Narwhal is on his first practice flying lap. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Long Beach as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. There are just over 115 minutes left in this practice session. It's a lovely day for racing here at Long Beach as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Simon of the Desert is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Long Beach as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. With just 114 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Malero has a best lap time of 1:08.147.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
It's time to separate the contenders from the pretenders here at Long Beach, as the drivers rev up their engines and put their skills to the test in the qualifying session. You can feel the tension building. Kevin Lekmansky is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. Kevin Lekmansky is looking relatively composed going through turn 4.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
Kevin Lekmansky is driving through turn 8.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Narwhal is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right.
Patience is key in these early moments, Marco. But I have a feeling Narwhal is going to make it count.
That ASRL 99 kart road looks good driving through Indy left.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near Indy left with a nice drink and some friends.
That's the outlap done for Narwhal. He'll now look to focus on his first flying lap. Narwhal is keeping his head down through Toyota.
If Narwhal listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
David Zahn is on his outlap. David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through turn 5.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at turn 5.
It's all about precision, and as Adam completes the outlap, he will be hoping there's enough space on track to fully attack on the flying lap. Adam is looking relatively composed going through Toyota. Adam appears focused and prepared driving through Pine Avenue. Adam is in the green by 3.53, making his way through Leguizamo. Adam completes that lap in his ASRL 99 kart road, putting him in P1. This is what it's all about. Narwhal is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Narwhal has completed that flying lap in 106.689, which is good enough for P3, down 1.18 to the leader. Malero is working his way through East Shoreline Drive. Malero just clocked a 106.952, 1.443 off of P1 and good enough for P4. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmansky is on his first flying lap. Kevin Lekmansky has just completed a lap in 124.215. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. David Zahn is now up 0.17 in Seaside Way. Kevin Lekmansky has improved by 5.82. Kevin Lekmansky is driving through turn 6.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, turn 6 has it all.
Kevin Lekmansky is driving through Indy left and is up 10.71. Kevin Lekmansky has some work to do, as his best time of 108.780 is only good enough for 6th. Ryan Wilson is in the green by 0.9. Ryan Wilson has improved by 1.31 up through turn 8.
This is where drivers have to decide to push for more or just try to maintain it.
David Zahn is up 0.2. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session. Ryan Wilson has some work to do, as his best time of 107.838 is only good enough for 6th. Oyat 2389 is currently up 0.14 going through Indy left.
There's no guarantee that Oyat 2389 can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
Oyat 2389 will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.79, but that won't stop him from trying.
Ryan Wilson is expertly commanding that car through turn 8.
The ASRL 99 kart road is indeed a sweet-ass looking ride.
Ryan Wilson has some work to do, as his best time of 107.210 is only good enough for 6th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.095 gap to pole.
Ryan Wilson is looking relatively composed going through South Chestnut Place.
Don't forget to check out the views near South Chestnut Place, they are fantastic.
David Zahn has improved by 0.1. Ryan Wilson is 0.21 up driving through turn 8.
The rest of this lap is no cakewalk. Let's hope he can keep it up.
Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for 3rd in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 1.171 gap to pole.
Narwhal has found an extra 0.54. Narwhal is in the green by 0.55, making his way through Seaside Way.
All we can do now is wish Narwhal luck as the start-finish line approaches.
Narwhal will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.751, but that won't stop him from trying.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmansky has some work to do, as his best time of 108.413 is only good enough for 7th.
There's at least 3.298 seconds to be found, but Lekmansky may be looking for it in the wrong places.
Oyat 2389 is now up 0.35 in Firestone turn. Oyat 2389 will be happy, with a time good enough for 3rd in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.821 gap to pole.
That ASRL 99 kart road looks good driving through South Chestnut Place.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
David Zahn appears focused and prepared driving through Pine Avenue. David Zahn is driving through Leguizamo. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for fourth in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 1.047, but that won't stop him from trying.
Malero is up 0.1. Malero is expertly commanding that car through Aquarium Way. Narwhal is working his way through turn 6.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
Kevin Lekmansky has some work to do, as his best time of 107.716 is only good enough for 7th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.601 gap to pole.
Simon of the Desert has improved by 0.13. That ASRL 99 kart road looks good driving through turn 5. Kevin Lekmansky is now up 0.17. Kevin Lekmansky is driving through Firestone Turn and is up 0.14.
If Kevin looks at that delta too much, it may end up being a distraction, and all that time he found may be lost.
Kevin Lekmansky has some work to do, as his best time of 107.716 is only good enough for 7th.
There's at least 2.601 seconds to be found, but Lekmansky may be looking for it in the wrong places.
Kevin Lekmansky is keeping his head down through South Chestnut Place.
I have always loved this section of the track.
Impressive display by Oyad 2389, currently sitting in P3. He's set a competitive time, but the question remains whether he can push even harder to secure a better starting position.
Absolutely, Marco. Oyad 2389 has put in a remarkable effort to secure third. The competition is fierce, and he'll need to stay focused to defend the position.
Oyad 2389 will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.821 gap to pole.
And there goes Kevin Lekmansky, currently in P7. He's shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still a chance to improve on that time.
Spot on analysis, Marco. Kevin is positioned well in 7th. It's crucial for him to maintain his focus and defend his position in the upcoming race.
Kevin Lekmansky is driving through West Shoreline Drive.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the cars speed by.
Kevin Lekmansky is expertly commanding that car through Firestone Turn. Kevin Lekmansky has some work to do, as his best time of 107.506 is only good enough for 7th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.391 gap to pole.
Kevin Lekmansky is looking relatively composed going through South Chestnut Place. Ryan Wilson is currently in 5th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess his competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start.
Couldn't agree more, Marco. Ryan is positioned impressively in 5th. Now, he'll need to build on this foundation and strive for an even better race result.
Ryan Wilson will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. It's a very still day here at Long Beach, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting from pole position is the best possible outcome for Adam.
It's also a nightmare if he can't hold onto it. Let's see how he will handle the pressure.
Starting on the front row is a great opportunity for Narwhal to challenge for the lead.
He can't count his chickens before they've hatched. There is a long way to go.
As the drivers prepare to take off, Oyat 2389 sits in 3rd place on the starting grid.
Like many others, Oyat 2389 is starting the race on the Hards tire compound.
Holding strong in 4th place is David Zahn.
Let's see what David can do.
The 5th place on the grid belongs to Ryan Wilson, a driver with plenty of experience.
Ryan will be ready to show what he's made of.
Malero is going to be starting from 6th.
Big things expected for Malero today.
Starting from the 7th position, Kevin Lekmansky will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. Lining up in 8th is Simon of the Desert.
Expect some battling with Kevin Lekmansky.
The Grand Prix of Long Beach is an Indy Car Series race held on a street circuit in downtown Long Beach, California. Christopher Pook is the founder of the event. It was the premier race on the Kart Champ Car World Series calendar from 1996 to 2008, and the 2008 race was the final Champ Car Series race prior to the formal unification and end of the open-wheel split between Kart and IRL. Since 2009, the race has been part of the unified Indy Car Series. 2. The race is typically held in April. It is one of the longest continuously running events in Indy car racing and is considered one of the most prestigious events on the calendar. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
With adrenaline running high, some drivers may take unnecessary risks. Staying patient and knowing when to make a move is essential for a strong start.
There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is feeling out the drivers around them. The pressure is on when the field is this tightly packed. Maintaining just enough aggression to hold off their rivals without pushing too hard will help these drivers keep it clean. It looks like Oyat 2389 was channeling a sloth at the start, losing places as he crawled off the line.
They say laughter is the best medicine, but I'm not sure it'll help Oyat 2389 recover from this start. Time to put the pedal to the metal.
Simon of the Desert appears to be losing ground on Kevin Lekmansky. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Lac des Amis to get a good exit and gain some ground.
This is not ideal for Simon, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
As a former driver, Janet, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Marco. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
This is a thrilling battle as Oyat 2389 edges closer to Narwhal in their fight for P6. It's game on now. Oyat 2389 has closed the gap to Narwhal. It's now down to 0.7 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
This will require some expert driving from Ryan Wilson. Adam is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second.
That's right, Wilson in second knows to push it to the limit to catch up. But Adam is no slouch, and he's going to be pushing just as hard.
Things are heating up as Oyat 2389 tries to close the gap to Narwhal.
Oyat 2389 needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Narwhal.
Even though Oyat 2389 is a fair way behind Narwhal, he can't afford to let his guard down. Narwhal is still vulnerable to mistakes.
Absolutely right, Marco. And Oyat 2389 knows he's got to keep driving at his best and take advantage of any opportunity that comes his way.
Hold on a moment. Looks like that's a mistake from Ryan Wilson. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 2 kph out there right now.
It's like watching two predators. Wait, what a move. Narwhal has moved up to 5th.
Impressive. Narwhal is really showing his skill and determination out there.
Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
You can wish all you want, but I don't think that's how racing works, Janet. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right, but wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for high fives and fist bumps?
The pressure is on as Simon of the Desert works on catching up to Narwhal.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Simon should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Narwhal.
Breaking news, folks. That won't be ideal for Malero. Oyat 2389 is on a mission, chasing David Zahn, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Hold on a second. A great moment for Oyat 2389, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. And we're back, where the drivers are breaking development. Oh dear, Simon of the Desert has had an incident. The pursuit is on. Oyat 2389 is working on that gap to David Zahn, determined to claim P6. Oyat 2389 is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to David Zahn to 0.5 seconds.
Exactly what Oyat 2389 needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Zahn.
The action is heating up here as David Zahn is in 6th. defending from Oyad 2389, who is only 0.4 seconds away. The pursuit is on. Oyad 2389 is closing the gap on David Zahn, determined to claim P6. Oyad 2389 has got his head down now, working those exits and apexes and setting his best lap time so far with a 1 minute.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing, Marco.
While David Zahn is not under immediate threat from Oyad 2389, he can still benefit from staying focused. Any slip-up could lose him the position.
Surely he's got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
Oyad 2389 is giving it his all, chasing down David Zahn in P6.
It's a game of strategy now as Oyad 2389 hunts down David. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Ryan Wilson is closing in on Kevin Lekmansky. The gap between Ryan Wilson and Kevin Lekmansky is growing. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. David Zahn is running 6th, and trying to keep up with Malero. It looks like David Zahn is making a move. The gap to Malero is now down to 0.5 seconds. The race is really heating up. Oyad 2389 is hunting down David Zahn with everything he's got.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Looks like Narwhal is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
While speeding through Seaside Way, braking development. It's looking good for Ryan Wilson, who has gained a place after passing Kevin Lekmansky. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big...
Hold on a second. A setback for Ryan Wilson, who has just been passed. Oyad 2389 is trying his best to catch David Zahn. It looks like we might get a battle between Oyad 2389 and David Zahn. Anyone who says that ASRL is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Narwhal is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Narwhal needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time. The gap between Narwhal and Ryan Wilson is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. Narwhal needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Oyat 2389 is chasing David Zahn in P6. Good news for Oyat 2389. The gap to David Zahn has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. Narwhal is on a mission, chasing Ryan Wilson, who's currently got a comfortable lead.
Narwhal is really hustling that ASRL 99 kart road. He's riding the curbs and pushing the kart its limits.
Oyat 2389 is running 7th, and trying to catch David Zahn.
The racing is getting tight between Oyat 2389 and Zahn as they battle for P6. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It's all about breaking news, folks. Oh dear, Malero has dropped down to 6th.
That's got to be frustrating. But Malero is a skilled driver, and he's got what it takes to battle back up the field.
Hard break for Malero, as they slip down the field.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Malero needs to stay calm and focused, and make his move when the time is right.
Oyat 2389 is staying focused while chasing David Zahn in P5. The battle for P4 is heating up as David Zahn tries to catch Kevin Lekmansky in P4.
We'll have to wait to see if Zahn can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Every move counts now as Oyat 2389 works to reel in David Zahn and overtake for P5.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Oyat 2389 is really walking that fine line.
The pressure is on as David Zahn tries to catch up to Kevin Lekmansky. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. This is where every inch counts. Oyat 2389 is pushing hard to close the gap on David. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Oyat 2389 could be on a charge here, Janet. He's just put in a quicker lap than David Zahn.
The question now is, can Zahn respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure.
This is a thrilling moment in the race, with David Zahn in 5th defending his position with everything he's got. But Oyat 2389 is relentless, and the gap is less than 0. Braking alert. Disappointing for David Zahn, falling down the order to 6th. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves, and they're breaking news, folks. I don't think that's the fastest way around Long Beach. Oh, this is getting intense. David Zahn is just a few car lengths behind Oyat 2389.
The gap between them is now just over 0.5 seconds.
It's not going to plan for David Zahn, who is trailing behind Oyat 2389, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. You know, Janet, it's been a relatively quiet race so far.
That's right, Marco. The drivers seem to be pacing themselves and waiting for the right moment to make their move. It's like watching a slow dance.
Hold up, breaking info. An impressive showing from David Zahn, who has gained positions and left Oyad 2389 in the dust.
Absolutely, Marco. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and Zahn can't afford to get complacent.
Ryan Wilson is pushing hard, braking development. Looks like that's a mistake from David Zahn. This could be costly. Things are heating up as Malero tries to close the gap to David Zahn. Great driving from Malero, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th.
That's what we like to see. Malero is really showing his class today.
A strong showing from Oyad 2389, who is currently 4th.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Oyad 2389 has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
The crowd is on its feet as David Zahn chases down Malero through West Shoreline Drive.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Zahn must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
David Zahn is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Malero at the moment. Things are going according to plan for Oyad 2389, who is currently 4th.
Yes, but Oyad 2389 has to keep his focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
He's pulling away. Oyad 2389 is increasing the gap to Malero. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Janet, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
Ryan Wilson will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. We got a close battle as David Zahn closes in on Malero.
If Zahn pushes too hard, he might end up taking the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
It looks like Malero is pulling away from David Zahn. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through West Shoreline Drive.
Dave needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Malero.
It's looking good for Oyad 2389, sitting in 4th. It looks like Malero is starting to catch up to Oyad 2389. The gap is now down to 8.5 seconds. In your experience, Janet, what was the most important aspect of managing tire degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Marco, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
David Zahn is looking for a way to close that gap to Malero. It's game on now. David Zahn has closed the gap to Malero. It's now down to 0.8 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Fantastic move from David Zahn. who has just gained a position.
Absolutely. Zahn is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and braking alert. A brilliant maneuver from David Zahn, who has just moved up the field.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P5. It's certainly not going to plan for Malero right now, who is struggling to keep up with David Zahn. Things don't seem to be going Malero's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here.
Malero certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Zahn.
Oyat 2389 is placed 4th at the moment.
That's right. Oyat 2389 can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Malero as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Malero is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
Malero appears to be losing ground on David Zahn. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Seaside Way to get a good exit and gain some ground.
This is where the mental toughness of Malero comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Oyat 2389 trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Ryan Wilson. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. The gap between Oyat 2389 and Ryan Wilson is getting smaller. Well, it doesn't look like Malero is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone David Zahn. It looks like Malero is making a move. The gap to David Zahn is now down to 4.3 seconds. It looks like Adam has found another gear in the last sector of the race.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Adam has certainly risen to the occasion.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from Adam. Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Narwhal certainly doesn't see it that way. He put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of his podium finish.
Strong work securing second place. Well done.
Well done to Ryan Wilson for securing third place on the podium. With Oyat 2389 and Simon of the Desert in 4th and 7th. Coming in 5th, we have David Zahn. 6th sees Malero. It's a beautifully calm day here at Long Beach, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Simon of the Desert to take control of the race.
He will need to stay cool under pressure. If he can do that, he'll be in with a chance.
Malero has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He will have to keep his foot on the gas in order to stay at the sharp end of the grid.
Coming in at third, we have David Zahn.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Zahn can do from here.
Oyat 2389 lines up in fourth place as the engines rev and the race begins.
Oyat 2389 is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
On the fifth grid slot we have Ryan Wilson,
putting that ASRL 99 kart road into prime position for the race.
The sixth position belongs to Narwhal.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
Adam is placed in seventh.
The American driver has been driving the wheels off the ASRL 99 kart road in practice.
The Grand Prix of Long Beach is an Indy Car Series race held on a street circuit in downtown Long Beach, California. Christopher Pook is the founder of the event. It was the premier race on the Kart Champ Car World Series calendar from 1996 to 2008, and the 2008 race was the final Champ Car Series race prior to the formal unification and end of the open-wheel split between Kart and IRL. Since 2009, the race has been part of the unified Indy Car Series. 1-2. The race is typically held in April. It is one of the longest continuously running events in Indy car racing and is considered one of the most prestigious events on the calendar. And they're off. The race is now in motion. This is the moment when drivers must show their mettle and find the perfect line.
Precision is everything during these initial stages. One wrong move could cost them valuable time or even force them out of the race.
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. Having started in P7, Adam will be hoping for a good result in this race.
Let's hope everyone is able to stay focused for the challenge ahead.
All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up.
Every corner, every lap, and every race is a chance for these drivers to hone their abilities and improve their skills.
As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at ASRL for making this all possible. Heroes one and all. They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position, daring each other to brake later and go deeper into the corners. The pursuit is on. Adam is closing the gap on Ryan Wilson, determined to claim P2.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
Look at that. David Zahn is hot on the tail of Adam. Adam is giving it his all chasing down Ryan Wilson in P2.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
This is where the race gets really interesting. David Zahn is closing in on Adam.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. David needs to be careful not to overdo it.
A tough moment for David. Breaking update. A setback for David Zahn, who has just been passed. Oh dear, David Zahn has dropped down to 7th. Wait. Superb driving from David Zahn, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
You can't argue with results like that. Dave is really making his mark on this race.
Narwhal has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Simon of the Desert. I expect his only hope at this point is that Simon makes an error.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
Ryan Wilson is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
The gap is 0.5 seconds now. Wilson is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with 23.89.
Narwhal is on a mission, chasing Simon of the Desert, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Narwhal has just put in a faster lap than Simon of the Desert, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Narwhal can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing Ryan Wilson in P2.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown. Hold on a second. What a move. Narwhal has moved up to 4.
Yes, Narwhal is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Looks like Simon of the Desert is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. Simon needs—
Wait. Big gains for Simon of the Desert as they move up the field, leaving Narwhal behind.
Absolutely. Simon is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
It's all about consistency for Narwhal, who is currently 4th. Some great driving from Narwhal, who has increased his lead over David Zahn and is starting to put some distance between them.
It's clear that Narwhal is dominating right now. He's making it very difficult for Zahn to catch up.
Things don't seem to be going Adam's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. A strong showing from Ryan Wilson, who is currently 2nd.
Definitely Marco, but Wilson can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
The battle for P2 is heating up as Adam tries to catch Ryan Wilson in P2.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Adam needs to stay patient and wait for Wilson to make a mistake.
The gap between Adam and Ryan Wilson is growing. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics. But we all know that's impossible, or is it? I mean, we're a couple of computerized robots
Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Narwhal.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result.
The race is really heating up. David Zahn is hunting down Narwhal with everything he's got. Adam is running third and trying to catch Ryan Wilson. Adam is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Ryan Wilson to 0.3 seconds. Every move counts now as David Zahn works to reel in Narwhal and overtake for P4.
Zahn is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL 99 kart road like a boss.
Hold the phone. A great moment for David Zahn, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. Oh, this is getting intense. Adam is just a few car lengths behind Ryan Wilson.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
It seems like Adam is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Ryan Wilson.
It will be interesting to see if Ryan can keep outpacing Adam.
I love being here at Long Beach. What an awesome place to be witnessing these titans of the track battle it out.
Indeed, Marco, what a magnificent sight and sound. I love listening to the roar of these engines. Let's just listen for a moment.
The pursuit is on. Malero is working on that gap to David Zahn, determined to claim P4. Oh dear, Simon of the Desert has had an incident. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Adam close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Good news for Adam, the gap to Ryan Wilson has decreased. It's now down to 0.4 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
If everything goes as planned, this is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
The gap between Ryan Wilson and Adam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Ryan to even allow Adam to get a look in.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
It's not going to plan for Adam, who is trailing behind Ryan Wilson, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. Oh, this is getting intense. Ryan Wilson needs to keep OYAD 2389 in his sights. The pursuit is on. Malero is closing the gap on David Zahn, determined to claim P4. The gap between Malero and David Zahn is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. You know, Janet, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Marco. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
The pressure is on as Ryan Wilson works on catching up to OYAD 2389.
This is where every inch counts. Ryan is pushing hard to close the gap on OYAD 2389.
The adrenaline is pumping as Malero gets within striking distance of David Zahn in their race for fourth. The pressure is on as Ryan Wilson tries to catch up to OYAD 2389. It's game on now. Ryan Wilson has closed the gap to Oyad 2389. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P4.
Malero is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
It looks like David Zahn is pulling away from Malero. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through East Shoreline Drive. The drivers have been working hard to come up with the perfect race strategy. They've been looking. Hold the phone. I don't think that's the fastest way around Long Beach.
Malero is not going to be happy about that.
The battle for P1 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Oyad 2389 in P1. The gap between Ryan Wilson and Oyad 2389 is getting smaller. Ryan Wilson is staying focused while chasing Oyad 2389 in P1. Things are going according to plan for Malero, who is currently 5th.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Malero has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Excellent work from Malero, who has managed to increase his lead over Simon of the Desert. Janet, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Marco. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
Ryan Wilson is running second, and trying to keep up with Oyad 2389.
No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It looks like Ryan Wilson is making a move. The gap to Oyad 2389 is now down to 0.4 seconds. Well, it doesn't look like Simon of the Desert is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Malero.
Simon certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Malero.
Ryan Wilson is giving it his all, chasing down Oyad 2389 in P1. It looks like we might get a battle between Ryan Wilson and Oyad 2389. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Simon of the Desert as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Simon is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
Ryan Wilson is on a mission, chasing Oyad 2389, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
We'll have to wait to see if Ryan can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
It's not looking good for Ryan Wilson. who is still behind Oyad 2389, and the gap is increasing.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
It looks like Adam is pushing hard to catch up to Ryan Wilson. Look at that. Ryan Wilson is hot on the tail of Oyad 2389.
The mental game is just as important here. Wilson must keep his cool while putting pressure on Oyad 2389.
Good news for Ryan Wilson. The gap to Oyad 2389 has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds. A solid performance from Malero, who is holding down 5th. Breaking development. Malero has just dropped the ball. Simon of the Desert didn't waste any time taking advantage of that.
Absolutely. He'll need to rethink the strategy and come up with something new, or else risk losing even more ground. On the other hand, Simon has been making some impressive moves and looks like a serious contender.
Looks like Adam is really hitting those curves aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
Hold on a second. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. Adam is placed second at the moment.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
It's all about consistency for Ryan Wilson, who is currently second.
Definitely Marco, but Wilson can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
Impressive stuff from Ryan Wilson, who has managed to pull away from Adam, leaving him in choking in his exhaust fumes. Hey, Janet, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Marco, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
Oh, this is getting intense. Narwhal is just behind Malero.
If Narwhal gets any closer, he might as well ask Malero for a piggyback ride.
It's looking good for Ryan Wilson, sitting in second.
That's right. Ryan can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of braking update. Fantastic move from Narwhal, who has just gained a position.
That's what we like to see. Narwhal is really showing his class today.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Malero is closing in on Narwhal.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Malero should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Narwhal.
Malero is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Narwhal at the moment. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Things don't seem to be going Adam's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. It seems like Adam has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Ryan Wilson's lap time there. The gap between Ryan Wilson and Adam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Ryan to even allow Adam to get a look in.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
Adam appears to be losing ground on Ryan Wilson. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Indy left to get a good exit and gain some ground. A strong showing from Adam, who is currently third. A solid performance from Oyad 2389, who is holding down first.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Oyad 2389 has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Oh no, Janet, look at this. Ryan Wilson is closing in on Oyad 2389. The gap is now just 5.9 seconds.
This is where the mental strength of Oyad 2389 comes into play. He'll need to stay calm and composed under pressure.
As a former racing driver, Janet, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Marco. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
Things are going according to plan for Narwhal, who is currently sixth. The delta is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Malero needs to find a way to close the gap. Wow, Oyad 2389 is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race.
You got this, Oyad 2389. Keep it cool and bring it home.
What a win! This is a historic moment for Oyad 2389, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision. What a drive from Ryan Wilson, securing a great second-place finish. Followed by Simon of the Desert in fifth. Excellent focus from Adam to secure a fantastic third place on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Narwhal and Malero take 6th and 7th. David Zahn in 4th.